Future gods and goddesses, welcome back to the channel. It's Uncle Makara. Let's get back into today's topic at hand, which is guru worship important on your spiritual path working, okay? Make a note, read the disclaimer. This answer is a personal experience for me going through my own life experiences and so forth, as well as my own research. So take it with a grain of salt, and I'm sure you have your own answer to this question. So the question was asked with the context of coming across somebody who's a YouTube guru telling and warning people about the dangers of doing a spiritual practice, in this case Tratak, without a guru or a master, because it can awaken Kundalini, and awakening Kundalini could be dangerous. We have a concept of Primal Sutra, we call it second-hand freedom. So let's say being in a guru's presence makes you feel that same essence transferred, okay? It's like confidence by proxy or osmosis. Okay, I remember going to an event of Sadhguru, for instance, and I felt the ground reverberating, and because of other people's expectations, intentions around that space, people who were very confused and frazzled would all gather into this location where they would then do yoga, and they would unlock themselves and either start crying and start yelling right in the presence of the guru. But one could also argue that that is their own minds giving them that catharsis and using the guru as a permission slip. So I think it comes back to Timit Noske, know thyself. You see, a guru, what is the original meaning? From darkness to light, from ignorance to wisdom. A guru is somebody who holds the broad perspective or picture. They are without conditioning. They're like a conduit for the higher source, higher power. They're essentially a stock character without any emotional baggage pushed on to that human form. But this is also a fact. Just because you're spiritual doesn't mean you're a good person. You could be spiritual and follow the path of evil. And then, of course, there's the relativity of what is good and bad anyway, right? There's those people. I would say, does your purpose, your dedication to your purpose, align and co-create with that guru? Because when the student is ready, only then the master appears. And for that new teaching, if you do at all follow a guru path working, what's the benefit of having a guru? I mean, the thing about it is you have a lineage behind you, right? Backing it. So years and years and years of people, word of mouth, giving instructions, oral teachings. But usually, and this is my perspective, whenever somebody says, my way is the only way that you'll get to enlightenment, there's no other path out there, this is the only path, that's when you should perk your ears up. That's when you need to start getting a little bit concerned, just because that particular teacher is being very dogmatic. And I know a lot of practitioners like this. They get very dogmatic, very structured in their approach, that they miss out on the nuances, the adaptability, and the flexibility. Our purpose as people is to weave and adapt and, use things according to our own merits and our benefits and others' benefits, right? And our vices, the opposite of virtue. So basically our weaknesses, our flaws, right? They keep our consciousness imprisoned because they all come from lack. So what's the cure to, laziness, diligence, and pushing forward, right? Or being encouraged by somebody. Greed is saying, oh, I don't have enough money, I need more, right? Lust is saying, I don't have enough sex, I need more. You see, so it's a lack of fulfillment, it's a lack of completion. One could make the argument that Krishna was actually Arjun's Christ consciousness. He was speaking to himself through the deity, that understanding. From my own experience, and this is again kind of a philosophy that we have at Primal Sutra, and it basically aligns with the idea that effectiveness is the best measure of truth. If you've gotten results doing Tratak, right, that should be evidence enough that you've done it a right way, or at least you've done it your own way, right, which has worked for you and aligned with you. okay? So it doesn't take away from the technique. Having a master or guru helps. You set the sails, like you said, and it's very, very important to you. But that does not mean you stop and halt your practice until a guru shows up or wait for it, right? I'll give you an example. So I started boxing before I took kickboxing, and I went to an actual gym, and I called my trainer over here. So it's very difficult to find MMA schools here in Kolkata, right? Especially where I'm at in my location. And so I have to get a trainer to come from really far to come over here to train me, okay? And in the beginning, before I ever did that, what was I doing? I was looking up like boxing videos on YouTube. I was looking books on the stuff, fighting like a physicist and so forth. I was watching maybe some fights. I got inspired by my mentors, I did a session online with a boxing trainer. So what would you call that, right? That's still a mentor, that's still a guru, right? But I'm using another analogy, obviously, in sports, combat sports specifically. But I think that it's important to understand this even in regards to a specific guru. So you might see some YouTube guru here and there, and you might get some of their teachings. Maybe you buy a course from somebody. For me, it's like, what can I really resonate with and absorb in those teachings? And what is it awakening within me? Okay, like you said, that gut instinct, that intuition. There's something happening, right? Something emerging. Oftentimes, you do seva, right, to a guru. You can do a seva to a mantra, right? And that mantra works as a guru for you. So think about this. So yes, Kundalini can be dangerously awakened or prematurely awakened by some random thing or trauma or, some little moment which shocks or breaks the pattern of the ego, okay? But having that much Shakti in your system without knowing what to do with it, it's like you're gonna fuse yourself out, almost in a sense, right? So you need to know proper ways to ground that energy down. Have some practices where you're actually maintaining that inner silence and stillness through your sadhana. You're actually recharging. What I've understood is the guru is available in the form that I least expect. Maybe I want my guru to be like a Shaolin monk, but he's like some 12-year-old kid who's teaching me about, his perspective on, quantum mechanics or something, and he's only 12. In that moment, maybe his thought form merges, right? Because let's say children or whatever, they're closer to that theta range, alpha theta range, right? They can really let themselves go and become a conduit. So maybe for that particular moment, they're giving me some download, which I haven't fully crystallized in my reality yet. You see, and that might spark a gnosis or a satori within me. Your ego is almost like a fulcrum, and we hold like 10,000 of these egos, right? These different forms and characters and archetypes that we all hold in our psyche. But understand, even with some of the language that we use, like we say swaha, right, at the end of like a prayer or a meditation or a mantra recitation, right? We say swaha. Swaha means I offer myself as tribute. Okay, get that? I offer myself. Which is basically like saying, let the ego dissolve into pure consciousness. You can try this actually, because I've tried it in my past and it's been very powerful. So find a picture of a guru that you really resonate with online. Just Google it, find some guru's image, look at them, and tune into what the senses are coming through. Maybe it's bliss or peace or connectedness. There's something coming through, right, with that energy. There's also a guru field if you listen to the sound file. Very powerful, okay? These are using morphic tones or morphic resonance. If you're unfamiliar with that, Kaimatica is the movie to watch, okay? So some of these beings, they go beyond the astral, okay? Beyond our imagination. So for this particular instance, let's say you go through a really bad breakup and you keep thinking about your ex. What you do is you take the image of them whenever it comes up and you send it to the guru. You let the guru handle it and you just notice the power in that. Because they're a conduit, they're going to recycle it and give it back into the ether in some more advanced form. Again, this is from my own personal experiences, right? So I have tried this, and it's very, very key and very, very powerful, right? Imagine borrowing the confidence of your higher self. Imagine getting to some breakthrough, epiphany, or realization, through the guru within. So you mentioned that guru is nature itself. Absolutely. I 100% agree with you. I think water has been one of my greatest teachers ever. And it's interesting because a lot of the medicine men, shamans, rishis, godmen, they're also very, very close to nature. It's almost as if, let's say the Himalayas, right? Himalayas is probably one of the lowest layers connecting through those higher energies. So we're definitely thinking about doing an event in the Himalayas eventually, okay? It's going to be powerful because there's a lot of downloads that can come through from that. So spiritual locations can be your guru, right? You go to a temple somewhere and you get the resonance or the feeling of that spiritual place, and you almost carry it with you because the thought forms of that place is really powerful, okay? So imagine the devotion that emanates at a temple like that. So many people pouring their hearts and their souls into the image of that temple space. Now, when you walk in, there's the chemical signatures of people who've cried on that floor, people who've maybe meditated there, okay, the resonance, the om, the primordial, sound there. So when you're walking into an environment, you are getting the etheric imprint of that place, okay, the morphic resonance of that place. So some of these concepts might be difficult for you to understand. Obviously, you can join the mystery school, Primal Sutra, mysteryschool.com. I think if you're going along your spiritual path on autopilot, what the reminder of having a guru or a lineage can do for you is it can remind you that, hey, stay conscious, okay? You're working towards something here. Okay, you're working on your own enlightenment here. I think it could be personally a very good measure of keeping you on track. You found the gift of this tool in your darkest time. How do you know that tool wasn't given from some specific being or entity? Right, just handed on your lap, like smack dab, right? In the moment. Speaking about candlelight meditation, I'd spoken to Aaron Dowdy the time before his YouTube fame. I had a podcast with him, okay? And I spoke to him in Tratak, or candlelight meditation, was one of his practices that helped him with his ADHD.
When I was growing up, I grew up and I had to take Adderall, which is what they prescribe to people who do have ADHD.
Yeah.
And I took that the last couple years of high school, and then for about 4 or 5 years after that.
Yeah.
And one of the side effects of Adderall is that when you take it, it makes it harder for you to sleep at night, and it makes it harder for you to eat as well. So even though it was something that I was able to, it benefited me during the day to get things done. At the same time, there were harsh side effects of it. So what I decided to do is, after a while of having those side effects, I decided that I would do my own research in a way. So what I did is I just did a little bit of research and came across meditation, and it talked about how powerful meditation is for being able to make people feel focused, but also it does something to the brain where it makes the brain waves more coherent, which means that where people that have ADHD, a lot of times the brain waves tend to not be so coherent. What happens is through the act of meditation itself, it can get to the point to where then your brain has that coherence, so that it's easier to stay focused or to be in the moment, even with ADHD. And what I did was I read about some type of meditation where you just stare at a flame, because it said that would be good for people that have trouble focusing, because every time your mind would begin to wander, you could just focus on the flame again, and then what that would do is make it easier for you to keep focusing on your breath.
That sounds cool.
Candlelight meditation, that's what it is, but it's really the most basic thing, where all you do is you sit there, you focus on your breathing, and you stare at the flame. Well, when I started doing that, within a day or two, I started to feel differently. I started to feel better. My general mood just kind of shot up, and I was kind of confused at first. I'm like, why am I feeling like this, I knew that there could be some type of maybe benefit when it comes to like focus. I started to feel different, and within a week or two, I started to feel good a majority of the time. And I found it easier for me, like at work, to focus and do whatever I had to do. So after about 2 weeks of doing that, and I just started small. I started maybe just 2 or 3 minutes a day, and then grew up on that. But the feeling became kind of like addictive in a good way.
Yeah.
It was like,
could you describe that feeling for us?
I think what it mainly was, especially now with the kind of work that I do, is it was just I was bringing like the awareness out of my head. And people with ADHD in general, I think it's like they're mainly kind of locked into the thinking mind. And what I did is I became present, which means I just like the awareness went into my body. And I started to feel different. Like I remember I was going to work and I was walking around, it just everything felt different to me. Different in a good way, but just it was like a new reference point in a way. But I felt better, so it was something that I enjoyed anyways. So
right on.
As I began to do that, I started to feel better more often. And then after 2 weeks, I completely gave up Adderall.
So he actually cured his ADHD through Tratak. So let that be a testimony. He didn't have a guru, right? But now look at the level of depth, productivity that came from that time. From a guy who's incredibly ADHD, okay? Very distracted, but now is a very, very big YouTuber. He has like 1.58 million subs now, right? So anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. Hit that like and subscribe button. Join the Telegram group. We're going to have a channeling tomorrow. Stay tuned for that. Have an incredible day. May the flow be with you. Stay legendary. Let's get it. Upward spiral. May we never be the same again. Os.